Hey, Shalom, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders and apostles, better known as the Great Millstone. Shalom, honor and blessing to Sincere Akim as well. This is the brother Yara, and I'm also here.
Taziar.
Khan, and we're gonna read some of these verses in the book of John, chapter 7, starting at verse 14.
Alright. So this is well, yeah, I got it.
Khan, this microphone.
Yeah. This is John 7 and 14. Now about the midst of the feast, Yahweh Shai went up into the temple and taught, and the Jews marveled, saying, "How knoweth this man letters, having never learned?"
Right. So, this was something that we see even with us, brothers having the Spirit. I know, especially early on. I wasn't very well versed, but there would be certain things that we would speak on, and even the apostles and elders not having really gone into it to validate it. But with it being spoken, it was still true. And I remember one brother, the brother from the Bay, Yakal, he had he would constantly, he's like, "Oh no, that's in the scriptures," and I'd be like, "What, for real?" And he pulled a verse on it. I'm like, I'd always marvel at that, like, God damn, like, I didn't know it was in there, but it just made sense, like it just made sense in the spirit, And so reading this verse, it reminded me of that, and that's how that was one way that the people should have been able to recognize that Yahweh Shai was truly born of the Spirit, because in this day and time, to learn the books and the letters, most of it was like a library. Most people wouldn't they wouldn't just have all those scrolls. That's a lot of paper for everything to be bound up in. Plus they never saw him studying in the temples.
Right.
As a young kid, he went up there and he was teaching many at the age of 12, and they marveled at that. But then you don't hear about anything for a while until it comes closer to his final days, as he's teaching and performing all these miracles, and this is where people are getting freaked out about.
It says, Yahweh Shai answered them and said, "My doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me."
Right. Now this is also showing you that the Heavenly Father and Yahweh Shai are two separate people. Okay, two separate powers. It's not the same. It's not the same person. It's not the same power.
Right.
Okay, and he's letting them know that this isn't of his own works or his own will, but of the Father's.
That's right. It says, "If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of the Most High or whether I speak of myself."
Right, and that's just plain. Like, if any man will do his own will, then you'll know of the doctrine, whether it be of the Most High or whether he's speaking of himself. And obviously, he's not speaking of his. He's obviously not speaking of himself, because he's speaking of things of the Father, which it just said that in verse 15. They said, "How does this man know the letters when he's never learned?"
Yeah.
So right there, that shows you the point. That's a valid point. Go ahead.
It says, "He that speaketh of himself seeketh his own glory, but he that seeketh his glory that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him."
Right, and now he's just going further on to tell you how if it was his own doctrine and his own glory, then he'd be receiving the glory, but he keeps passing the glory to the Most High, because that's whose glory it pertains to, and whose it is. And he's saying, look, if it was my own stuff, then you would know it was mine, because it wouldn't be pertaining to the Heavenly Father. It wouldn't be pertaining to scriptures. They wouldn't have said, "How does this man know letters when he's never learned?" Proving the righteousness of the Most High, and how Yahweh Shai was righteous.
Right.
And they're going to seek about to kill him. We're going to see that also.
It says, "Did not Moses give you the law, and yet none of you keepeth the law? Why go ye about to kill me?"
Right. He said, look, Moses, plain as day, Moses gave you the law, and none of you people are keeping the law.
Right.
And because you're not keeping it, it makes sense why you want to kill me. You want to kill me because why? My works are righteous and yours are unrighteous? Because you don't believe that I'm the chosen one? That I'm the one prophesied to come? And that was the whole problem. What are you saying?
No, he's like, like the scripture say in Galatians, if I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth, you know? It says, the people answered and said, thou hast a devil who goeth about to kill thee.
They said, you're crazy. No one's
Right.
trying to kill you.
Right.
But little did they know, the scribes and Pharisees were plotting to kill him the whole time. And he know, and Yahushua knowing the prophecies that pertain, see, and that's the thing, if they would have understood, if they were more focused on the scriptures and less on him as a person, then they would have understood that some of the mysteries and prophecies that he was going to have to die and be put to death pertaining to the book of Psalms.
Yeah.
Well, David goes into it. You know, they didn't understand at that time, you know, what was going on really.
Yeah. It says, Yahushua answered and said unto them, I have done one work, and ye all marvel. Moses therefore gave unto you circumcision, not because it is of Moses, but of the fathers. And ye on the Sabbath day circumcise a man. If a man on the Sabbath day receive circumcision, that the law of Moses should not be broken, are ye angry at me, because I have made a man every whit whole on the Sabbath day?
Right, so he's saying, what's the difference between circumcision and performing a miracle, healing somebody on the Sabbath day? Because the Sabbath day, you're not supposed to do anything, but you're doing it on the Sabbath day as pertaining to law, you know, to the custom of our fathers. And because when you get circumcised, you're now made whole. You can partake in the Passover and things of that nature. So what's the difference between that and me making someone whole and healthy so that they can partake in things and be clean and healthy and be a part of society and not lame on the side of the road? What's the difference? You see? Keep going.
It says, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment.
You see? And then he cut them. They were cut right there, man.
It says, then said some of them of Jerusalem, is not this he